on and got their towels and snacks packed. They left the dormitories and got into a couple of cars, and then they drove over to this dirt lot that was right up against this huge forest. And so they parked their cars and they made their way over to this trailhead that begins in the parking lot and goes straight into this forest. And so they walk down this trail until the trail goes right out of the forest and brings them to the edge of this river. And this river was called the Firehole River. It was called that because the surface of this river steamed, and it gave the impression that this river was on fire. The reason this happened is some of the water flowing through this river would pass by those underground magma chambers, warming it up. And so this is a lot like the hot springs, except on a much smaller level. The hot springs are boiling, whereas this river was just slightly warmer to the point where it would steam. So totally safe to swim in. So Sarah and the rest of this group, they come out of that trailhead and they're standing on the edge of this beautiful river, and they walk down to the edge and they all jump in and they have this great day. They're swimming around, they're playing games, and they were only expecting to be there for a couple of hours, but they were having so much fun that before long the sun had gone down and they were still in the river. And so when it was dark out, they finally climbed out of the river and they toweled off. And then they realized they had a bit of a problem. Because they did not expect to be there for as long as they were, no one had brought flashlights. And the way back to the parking lot would be going along that trail through the forest, but that was a pretty far trail, and it's totally pitch black out. There's no ambient light. And realistically, there's some pretty big animals that live inside of that forest. And so some people in this group were a little bit nervous about walking through this forest. But ultimately, about half of the group said, you know what, whatever, let's just run through the forest and get back to our cars as fast as we can. I'm sure nothing will happen to us. And the other half decided they would look for an alternative route that would skirt the forest and allow the moonlight to be their guide along the way. That second group was made up of Sarah, along with two 18-year-old boys named Lance Bucci and Tyler Montague. So Sarah and these two boys, they're standing there and they're watching the first group go into the forest and disappear. And then she, along with these two guys, they turn right and they begin skirting the river and walking around the forest. And so they walk downstream with the river on one side and the forest on their left, and they're walking for a while until they see up ahead on their left, it looks like the forest is starting to thin out maybe a little bit. And so they took that as an opportunity.
If you don't get your bitch ass out of my stream,
basically began kind of going straight towards the parking lot, which
you're a
is
whole
generally
fan.
off to their left. They make that turn, they start walking, and the terrain is relatively
You
open.
came just thinking just to say that.
With a couple of trees here and there. It was pretty easy to navigate, and they felt like, hey, we found a great alternative route. The moonlight's
You a
still shining
bitch.
through. We got great visibility, and so they're walking along, happy as can be. And then they see there's a couple.
You
of
won't say that to me when I'm on the
They
game.
get to the first stream, and it's not that big, so they jump across it. They get to the next
Oh,
stream.
man, I'm 29.
That one, and then they get
29, not even old.
and they realize, it's still pretty small, but it's significantly bigger than the last two. And so if we mistime it, we could fall into it. Now, this was not
You is a fan. You in my live, dummy.
swimming, but they didn't want to jump in this stream.
I'm not even on the game. I'm banned.
Right, trying to find
So now what? Now what you gotta say?
jump across more easily. But
I'm
they
banned.
figured they were probably within maybe 100 or 200 feet of the parking lot. They couldn't see it, but they knew they were close. And they really didn't want to go farther and farther away to only have to just jump over this thing anyways. And so they
Who the fuck is
decided,
Smith? I don't know who the fuck that is.
let's just do it. If we fall,
Who the fuck is Smith?
so the three of them backed up from the stream to give themselves some running room, and then they grabbed hands, and at the same time, all three of them ran forward and leapt across the stream. And they cleared it. They landed on the
I don't know who the fuck a
side,
Smith
but the
is.
ground
Who is
they
that?
landed on was kind of loose and soft, and so it kind of crumbled underneath them, and they all fell backwards into the stream. In the darkness, this stream had looked like the other two streams they had seen, albeit a little bit larger, and so they were not thinking this could be potentially hazardous if they fell into the water. But it would turn out this stream was extremely hazardous. It was nothing like the other two streams they had encountered. This one was runoff from a nearby hot spring, and so the temperature inside of this stream was 178 degrees Fahrenheit. So it was practically boiling.
He calling me
water,
old.
and it looked like it was shallow, but in fact, this stream was 10 feet deep. And so when this
He's stupid. He don't know my real age. So you just saying that I'm old. Dumbass.
And the other group that had ran down
What a
the
dummy.
path, they had got to the parking lot and were waiting for them. And so they hear the scream and they just take off running in the direction of the screams. They cut right through the forest and and they come out to that field, and they find Lance and Tyler are
No,
on
I
the
ain't
edge of the
50.
stream,
I just told you,
desperately
dumbass, I'm
trying to pull
29.
Sarah out of the water. And so the parking lot crew, they run over and they grab Sarah, they pull her out.
I don't know. I don't even know who you is. Who are you?
This is some boy
You
of
can't just say
extreme,
CVC
very
and I don't know who you
responsible
is.
when Lance and Tyler
Who are
and
you?
Sarah just continue to scream outside of the
I
water
don't know
that
you.
something is horribly wrong. And so one of the people in the parking lot crew, they take off running, they go into one of their cars, and they drive and they get help. And not that long after, a helicopter would arrive and it would take Sarah, Lance, and Tyler to a nearby hospital. It would turn out Lance and Tyler, when they fell into this water, they only submerged up to their necks. And as soon as they hit the water, they immediately turned and got themselves out again. So they were only in the water for maybe a second or two. And these things ultimately saved their lives, although they did still have burns over almost their entire bodies. They had to go through dozens and dozens of surgeries and years
I don't know
of
you.
rehab, and they had to
I don't know who the fuck you
money for medical
is.
bills. So it was not a smooth course after they got pulled out, but they lived. As for Sarah, she was not as lucky. When she fell into the water, she completely submerged. Her head, her body, all of it went under the water, and then she just could not get herself out again. And so she stayed in the water much
Never
longer
heard of a
than the guys did.
notorious. I don't
She
know
was
you.
admitted
You
to
know
the
who I
hospital,
am,
despite the
but I
fact
don't know
she was
you.
talking and conscious. The doctors very quickly realized they had a big problem
Barbette.
with her. A
Barbette.
third-degree burn, or a
Who the fuck is that?
full-thickness burn, is when the
I don't
outer
know who
layer of
that is
skin
either.
gets destroyed, and also the inner, deeper
Who is that?
tissues
Who is
of
that?
the
Like a
skin
tranny?
also gets destroyed, including the cells that are responsible for reproducing skin. And so if you get a third-degree burn, that part of your body will not heal on its own. You literally have to get a skin graft. And a skin graft is effectively a skin transplant. They will take other sections
Nah,
of
they.
skin
I
from your
don't even
body
got
that
that.
are
I don't even know who the
unburned, and they
fuck
will
Barbette
place them
is.
over that site where you have the third-degree burn. But when Sarah was wheeled into the operating room, it was determined that she had
That ain't my man.
burns
I'm
on
not fucking gay.
100% of her body.
I don't like guys. Don't play with me like that.
Burned skin to use for a skin graft. Her whole body
I
was
like girls.
and so despite their best efforts, Sarah would pass away 15 hours after arriving at the hospital. A year later,
A person that says they like another man is the person that really likes the man.
Near that particular stream to warn people of its
That's your man. Why you bring the name up?
that the trio, Sarah, Tyler, and Lance,
That's the person you hang around with.
to walk off trail in a known thermal area, and so they were being negligent, not the park. So that's gonna do it, guys. If you found the secret,
That makes perfect sense. That's your man, right? That must be your man. You bringing a person up I don't even know.
Continue at the top of the comment section. If you got something out of today's video and you haven't done this already, the next time the like button has an itch on their back, offer to scratch it for them, but then continuously understand their directions so you
Or I
never
bet is a tranny. I don't know who the fuck that is. A person that names a grown ass man that would name himself Barbie is gay. I don't play that.
If you're interested, go to
I don't date men.
shop.mrballin.com. If you want to learn about upcoming deals and promotions for our shop, go to our shop's Instagram page. The username is shop.mrballin.
How you know who I date?
Message me on Instagram or on Twitter.
So you assuming that I like guys? You don't even know me.
We have a second YouTube channel just called Mr.
And you in my
Ballin,
stream.
where we post random short videos and lost episodes. We also have a Facebook
And
page
in my stream, me and the whole fan.
condensed versions of the longer episodes you see on YouTube. If you have a story suggestion, please submit it to our subreddit called Mr. Ballin. It's linked in the description below. So whether I see you on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, YouTube, Facebook, or some combination,
You said I look like it. You look like you date men.
until next time, that's going to do it. See you.
You don't even got a single picture. Let me see how you look since you got all that shit to say. Y'all behind the TV screen, y'all scared to show your face. But y'all so quick to try to call somebody a monkey and call people ugly and judging everybody. Let me see your face. Let me see your face. You probably somebody that I whooped in the 1v1, and I beat your ass in a death match. That's probably who you is. I probably beat your ass in the 1v in the 1v either in the 1v1, and I beat your ass in a death match. Since you talking all this big boy shit, let me see your face. At least I'm not scared to show my face. You scared to show yours. You the one that's ugly. Calling another man ugly that's not scared to show their face. I am playing with you. What you wanna do? I'm not on the game, so you can't do nothing. You a bitch. Stop acting like you. Stop trying to act all big behind the TV. We all know that you're a bitch. We all know that you're a bitch. You ain't about shit. And what you gonna do if I do? You're not gonna do nothing. You is the bitch. You scared to show your fucking face. Everybody on GTA scared to show their face. I got more money than you. My house costs more than what you got. My house costs more than what you got. You got more. My house costs more than what your clothes got. Reborn too laggy. You must be a lag switcher. You talking all this shit. You must be using a lag switch in every death match. You sound like a bitch. I don't even got an apartment. I live in a house. So now what? Apartments is like 4 floors. I don't got no floors. All I got is a first floor and a second floor. That's a house. Know what you talking about before you just open your mouth. Everything in my room probably costs more than what you got. You probably don't even work. You just be on a game. Y'all say y'all work, but y'all really don't work. Trying to talk about somebody else that just doing something for their life, and you ain't doing shit but on a game, using the lag switches. What the fuck? I gotta prove to you. I don't gotta answer to you. That's my right. I have a right to not fucking show shit. Respect it. Stop playing with me. You don't know what the fuck I do. You must be what? Sensei's bitch? You one of Sensei's groupies, right? You gotta be his boyfriend. Cause he probably sent you in here to talk shit, right? That's your boyfriend, right? You Sensei's boyfriend? He sent you in here to talk shit because he can't do it himself? Didn't my crew body your crew? My crew bodied you. My whole crew bodied you. You suck. Yeah, that's your boyfriend. We born too late. Then who the fuck are you? We born. I don't even know you. You not in the crew, so that means that you ain't nobody. Nobody know who the fuck you is. You non-crew having ass bitch. You not in the crew, so why you in my shit? You trying to get clout off of me. You trying to get clout off of me. That's why you on my YouTube talking all that shit. Just fucking typing your fingers away. Cause you can't really say shit. You can't really speak. So you wanna type. You can't speak. So you just type on the game. You just type on here. That don't mean shit. What they got to do? What that's supposed to mean? You a low life. You a low life on here. Where's your girlfriend at? You so busy worrying about the wrong things. You worrying about other people that doesn't even fucking know you or don't even give a shit about you. Nobody don't even know who the fuck you is. You probably somebody that I beat up on in a death match. That's why you so angry. I whooped your ass in a death match probably, so you come in my shit talking shit. I don't know you, but you know me. I never heard of a reborn laggy. Never heard of you. Cause I don't know you. You are random in my life talking shit. I'm not mad. You can't get me mad. You're not talking about nothing. All you saying is I'm broke. I don't got a girlfriend. I'm dating a tranny. You mean to tell me the trainees that you hang around with? That's who you talking about? Them trainees? And you trying to say I'm dating them, and when you hang around them, don't make me get the exposed. I can expose everybody on GTA if I wanted to, but I choose not to, cause it's my right. I don't date trainees, and I don't be in parties with them. I don't date trainees. I don't be in parties, and I don't tell them to make. I don't try to have no sex with them on no fucking party chat like other people be doing. I heard a lot of shit about that. A lot of people been trying to have sex with trying to have mic sex in a party chat on PlayStation. But you ain't gonna say nothing about that. No, I'm telling the truth. I'm not lying. What the fuck I gotta lie for? I seen a lot of weird shit on PlayStation. I seen people having mic sex. I heard people kill themselves. I heard a little boy died. A little boy died in a party chat. People was having make sex in the party chat. Heard a whole lot of shit. Why you coming at me? Why you talking shit to me? Why you don't talk shit to the ops that don't even like you? I'm not an op. Ain't you? What? Ain't you? You must be Jody Mac's boyfriend, ain't you? That's who you gotta be. That must be your boyfriend. You gotta be Jody Mac's boyfriend. So, you telling me to pull up to the bitch ass Atlanta? Anybody want to go to no damn Atlanta? Why you get offended when I asked you if you date men? You must do. Come on, tell me you ain't gay. You is gay. Why you bringing up a person name up that I don't even know? It's a gay bitch ass.
Brought to you by any of our weekly uploads. All right, let's get into.
I don't even know you. You can't ask somebody to CBC when you don't know the person. I don't know you. Notorious, who the fuck are you?
Before heading over, forced his head inside. It got stuck. He could not pull it out again. And so all around the outside of this hole where his head was stuck, there were these deep divots.
I don't know who Barbette is. I don't give a fuck about no Barbette. You just said you got him or her or he she on your team. So that's your boyfriend.
Meant breaking his neck and has been reported missing. A person walking through that hole.
That's probably not really a person. You just making up shit. Ain't no ain't nobody named no Barbette. You just making up names.
Like it being this belt and kind of this 10-foot line with the carabiner into one of the eyelets on the ground, right where the back ramp begins to go down. And so once that was in place, he turned and looked at the other two mechanics. Up in the air, he slowly extends himself, and finally, when they were fully extended, he was officially doing the Superman stunt. This was called Supermaning, what stopped right around his chest. And so at that point, he keeps his arms pinned by his side because he doesn't want them out of the wilderness and went straight to a newspaper to tell them about this otherworldly place they had found. And so the newspaper sat down, they got their notepad out, and these explorers start describing this place. And they say, okay, well, it's this huge expanse of wilderness. And in the middle of it, there are all these boiling
What
lakes.
do you mean I should be working? How you know? What if I did come home from work? You don't know. You don't know what the fuck I did. You said why I'm at work. Why I'm not at work. Why I'm home. You don't know. You don't know what the fuck I did. That's none of your fucking business.
They take all this down, and at the end of it, they say, "Okay, guys. Well, unfortunately, we don't publish fiction." But these explorers,
Why you not at work?
They were describing an area that.
Why you on my live?
Yellowstone National Park.
Why you not outside trying to get an application?
Wyoming that sits on top of a volcano, and those boiling neon green, red, and yellow lakes really do exist. Those are hot springs, and they are the result of water passing by and making contact with underground magma chambers.
I'm 10. So why 10-year-old in my live?
Every year, millions of people go to the park, and so as a
You
result,
10 years old, get your little 10-year-old ass out of here.
keep up with tourism. Many of these employees are young people, like college students, to live
You
in
don't
the
have no,
house
you don't have no
and
say so
dormitories
on
all
life. Be
across the
quiet.
park to make it
Your
easier
mother
for
pay your
people to get on
bills.
site and do this job. And these dormitories are either free or very low cost. And so these young people typically take up that offer and will stay inside of these dormitories for as long as they're working at the park. And so in 2000, a 20-year-old summer employee named Sarah Holfers, she was staying
You
in one of
don't
these
even know how to
dormitories
spell.
at the park, and she was in her room when a group of other young employees that were staying in this dorm came down the
The
hall
fuck
and
is you
knocked on the
typing?
door, and they asked her if she wanted to come with them to go swimming. And so Sarah, she had a day off and she wasn't doing anything, and so she said, "Sure, I'll
The
go with you
live
guys."
is
And after
live.
they all got their
You
bathing suits on and
non-spelling
put
bitch.
towels and
They
snacks
don't know how
back,
to
they
spell.
left the dormitories and
It
got
was
into a
live.
couple of cars
It's
and they drove
live.
over to this dirt lot that was right up against this huge forest. And so they parked, they got out, and they make their way over to this trailhead that begins in the
Yeah, I
parking lot
can't expose
and ends
everyone
straight
on
into the
GTA.
forest. And so they
If I
walk over
wanted
to this
to, I
trailhead
would.
until the trail goes
If I
over
wanted to
water,
do it,
and
I
it
would.
leads them to a
Everybody
big
done
river.
expose me.
And this river was called the Firehole River.
Everybody know
And
everything
at
about me.
the surface of this river,
They claim they know everything about me, but they lying.
was on fire. The reason this happened is
I know
Sarah's
the
boss
real.
was
I know the
concerned
real
with the
fucking shit
backside of
about
this
them. They don't
river
know
and
shit
how
about
it
me.
was warming it up. And so this is a lot like the hot springs, except on a much
You
smaller
know
level.
every.
The hot
You know what you
springs
can.
are
You
boiling
know I
hot
can
water that
expose
is
everybody on there if I wanted to.
slightly warmer.
You know you got shit on
It's
people.
totally
Stop
smoking. So
acting like you
Sarah and
don't.
the rest of this
You
group, they
stop
head to
acting
this
like you
trailhead,
don't
and it's
fucking
raining
expose
heavy.
nobody
It's this
either.
beautiful river, and they walk down to the edge, and they all jump in, and they have this great day. They're swimming around, they're playing games, and they were only expecting to be there for a couple of hours, but they were
The
having
fuck
so
I
much
don't
fun
even know
that
you.
before long, the sun had gone down, and they were still in the river. And so when it was dark out, they finally climbed out of the river, and they toweled off, and then they realized
You
that they
don't
were really
expose
lucky
never
because
nobody know who
while
you
they got to
is.
be there for as long as they were, no one had really
That's why
noticed
nobody
them.
don't know
And on
you.
their way back to the parking
You
lot,
10 years
they were
old
going
trying
along
to
this
be
trail through the forest,
on
and
a
this
grown
part of
man's
the trail,
live.
it's
29-year old
totally
live.
blackout. There's no ambient light, and realistically, there's some pretty big animals that live inside of that forest. And so some people in this group are walking through this forest. But ultimately, about half of the group said, "You know what? Standing there and they're watching the first group
No,
make
I'm
their
not
way
50, I'm
into this
29.
river, and then she, along with these two guys, they turn right and they begin
Well,
swimming
if I was
through
50,
this
I would have had
area
gray
of the
hairs.
forest.
If I
And
was
so they
50
walk
years
along the
old.
stream with the river on one side and the
I
forest
would
on
have
the
had
other.
wrinkles
And they're
everywhere.
walking for a while until they see up ahead on their left, it looks like the forest is starting to thin out maybe a little bit. And so they took that as an opportunity to cut left and basically begin kind of going straight towards the parking lot, which was generally
Not even
occupied
making no
by other
sense.
people. They make that turn, they start walking, and the terrain is relatively open. It's this big open field with a couple of trees here and there. It was pretty easy to navigate, and they felt like, hey, we found a great alternative route. The moonlight's still shining through. We got great visibility. And so they're walking along, happy as can be. And then they see there's a couple of streams up ahead. They get to the first stream, and it's not that big, so they jump across it. They get to the next stream, it's still not that big. They jump across that one. And then they get to this third stream, and they realize, it's still pretty small, but it's significantly bigger than the last two. And so if we mistime it, we could fall into it. Now, this was not some huge deal. They were already wet from having done swimming, but they didn't want to jump in this stream. And so they considered walking off to the right and trying to find an area that was more narrow they could jump across more easily. But they could be 100 or 200 feet of the parking lot. They couldn't see it, but they knew they were close. And they really didn't want to go off, and so it kind of crumbled underneath them, and they all fell backwards into the stream. In the darkness, this stream had looked like the other two streams they had seen, albeit a little bit larger, and so they were not thinking this could be potentially hazardous. And the other group that had ran down the forest path, they had got to the parking lot and were waiting for them, and so they hear the scream, and they just take off running in the direction of the screams. They cut right through the forest, and they come out to that field, and they find Lance and Tyler are on the edge of the stream, desperately trying to pull Sarah out of the water. And so the parking lot crew, they run over, and they grab Sarah, they pull her out. They don't really know what's happened. They don't know this is some boiling stream, but it very quickly dawns on them when Lance and Tyler and Sarah just continue to scream outside of the water that something is horribly wrong. And so one of the people in the parking lot crew, they take off running, they go into one of their cars, and they drive and they get help. And not that long after, a helicopter would arrive, and it would take Sarah, Lance, and Tyler to a nearby hospital. It would turn out Lance and Tyler, when they fell into this water, they only submerged up to their necks, and as soon as they hit the water, they immediately turned and got themselves out again. So they were only in the water for maybe a second or two. And these things ultimately saved their lives, although they did still have burns over almost their entire bodies. They had to go through dozens and dozens of surgeries and years of rehab, and they had to pay all this money for medical bills. So it was not a smooth course after they got pulled out, but they lived. As for Sarah, she was not as lucky. When she fell into the water, she completely submerged. Her head, her body, all of it went under the water, and then she just could not get herself out again. And so she stayed in the water much longer than the guys did. When she was admitted to the hospital, despite the fact she was talking and conscious, the doctors very quickly realized they had a big problem with her. A third-degree burn, or a full thickness burn, is when the outer layer of skin gets destroyed, and also the inner, deeper tissues of the skin also gets destroyed, including the cells that are responsible for reproducing skin. And so if you get a third-degree burn, that part of your body will not heal on its own. You literally have to get a skin graft. And a skin graft is effectively a skin transplant. They will take other sections of skin from your body that are unburned, and they will place them over that site where you have the third-degree burn. But when Sarah was healed,
What's up, Spaz?
it was
Who
determined
is that?
she had third-degree burns on 100% of her body. So there was no unburned skin to use for a skin graft. Her whole body was ruined. And so despite their best efforts, Sarah would pass away 15 hours after arriving at the hospital. A year later, Lance's family would sue the National Park Service for not having put up a sign near that particular stream to warn people of its dangers. But that lawsuit was tossed out because it was determined that the trio, Sarah, Tyler, and Lance, had
What, that's my name?
walked off trail in a known thermal area.
That's you?
So they were being negligent, not the park. So that's going to do it, guys. If you found the secret in today's episode, let us know in the comment section what it is and where you found it, so give us the timestamp. And if you're the first to do that, we'll pin you at the top of the comment section. If you got something out of today's video and you haven't done this already, the next time the like button has an itch on their back, offer to scratch it for them.
Cause you was in what's her name Yanni. I think it was Yanni or Flex.
Notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly 1 or 2 video uploads. We are now selling merchandise like flannels and hats and sweatshirts and all sorts of stuff. If you're interested, go to shopmrballin.com. If you want to learn about upcoming deals and promotions for our shop, go to our shop's Instagram page. The username is shopmrballin. If you want to get in touch with me, you can direct message me on Instagram or on Twitter. My username is Mr. Ballin. I also have a ton of content over on TikTok where my username is also Mr. Ballin. We have a second YouTube channel just called Mr. Ballin Shorts.
Oh, what happened?
Random short videos and lost episodes. We also have a Facebook page just called Mr. Ballin where we post condensed versions of the longer episodes you see on YouTube. If you have a story suggestion, please submit it to our subreddit just called Mr. Ballin. It's linked in the description below. So whether I see you on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, YouTube, Facebook, or some combination, just know that I really appreciate your support. And until next time, that's going to do it. See you. Today's video is brought to you by... Excuse me, but before we get into today's stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious deliberative story format...
Who is these trolls coming in here talking shit? Notorious fucking Reborn. Who is these people? Do you know them?
So the experience is unsatisfactory. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's stories.
Yeah, they fucking trolls. They come in my live, but I don't never go in their live. I don't even think they stream. They just go in and troll everybody that they know that they think they know on GTA. I don't know them. They just came in talking shit, talking about somebody I'm dating a tranny.
Was drill a couple of large holes in the ceiling of one of the rooms in this house. And so as soon as he got to the
I don't date trannies.
he went in the back of his truck and pulled out a 6-foot-tall step ladder and a drill and then walked into that particular room. Once inside, he opened up the step ladder and placed it where he wanted it, and then he tested his drill by squeezing the trigger a couple of times, and so once he knew that worked, he climbed up the ladder a couple of steps, not to the very top, but just a couple of steps, and began punching holes in the ceiling with this drill. Now, at first, these holes were very easy to punch through. But when he got down and moved the ladder to another section of this room where he also needed holes in the ceiling, when he got up there, he could not get the drill to go through the ceiling. And he didn't really get it because he knew there was nothing behind the ceiling that would stop the drill.
Yeah, but I'm banned. Somebody falsely reported me.
He just needed a little bit of extra leverage.
I think I'm banned for 30 days.
On the back of this drill while he's pulling the trigger. And so instead of standing on the second or third rung of the 6-foot tall step ladder,
Somebody probably reported me because of how I play. They probably think I cheat.
stand on any ladder.
So they probably reported me because of that.
This drill into the ceiling. So he gets in position and kind of feels like the ladder's fairly stable, and then he lines up this drill where he wants it. He begins squeezing the trigger. And
They can't report me because of how I play the game. Cause they can only report me to Rockstar. Rockstar is not connected to Sony.
realizing he's pushing down with his feet at a bit of an angle. And at some point he pushes too hard and he causes the ladder to spill out from underneath him. Ron instinctively tried to throw the drill away from him, which is a common practice amongst construction workers. You don't want to land on your gear, it can hurt you. But he wasn't able to throw the drill far enough away from him. And even worse, the drill, when it hit the ground, basically right underneath him, it landed on its back with the drill bit pointing straight up into the air. And so when he fell down,
All right.
face first, his right eye socket landed directly on the drill. And so this 18-inch long, 1.5-inch in diameter drill bit impales his head, goes right through his eyeball, goes through his skull, and punctures out the back of his head. And so Ron, he hits the ground, but he's conscious, and so without even rolling over, he just reaches up with his hands and he feels the base of this drill, and then he traces to the drill bit, and he feels it going into his eye, and then he feels around the back of his head, and he feels the rest of the drill coming out of his skull. And at that point, he just starts screaming. The only other worker on the job site at the time was this man named Forrest, and Forrest, who was in a separate part of the job site, he hears Ron screaming, and so he runs over, he goes in the room, and he sees Ron, who's now standing up, cradling the drill base. The bit, the 18-inch bit, is still poking through his head, and so Ron is looking for us, ran out of the job site, ran about 1,000 feet away to the nearest house, and he was able to use their phone to call paramedics. The paramedics arrive in an ambulance a few minutes later, and they find Ron sitting next to Forrest, just with this drill still in his face. Ron is very obviously in shock because he's not making any sound, he's totally conscious, but he's just kind of staring blankly, holding onto this thing. And so the paramedics, they go over and they detach the drill base from the drill bit, so all that's left is the actual 18-inch rod that's been pushed through his head. And then they take Ron via ambulance to a local hospital, and from there they actually fly him in a helicopter to a bigger hospital that can handle this kind of injury. And so when he arrives at this larger hospital, they rush him immediately to the operating room, and at first the surgeons attempted to cut off either end of this bit, the part that's sticking out the front of his eye and the part that's sticking out the back of his head. But they realized once they did that, there would still be this huge piece of bit that was stuck in his skull, and that would obviously be a huge problem. And so after thinking about it, they decided their best bet was just to unscrew the bit from his head. And so they gave him some morphine, and then over the next couple of hours, the doctors slowly twisted this piece of metal until it finally unwound itself out of his skull. And apparently, as they were doing that, Ron, who was so high on painkillers, was cracking jokes about how somebody needs to come in here and take a picture of me. I probably look so great. And so miraculously, Ron would survive, and he would not even be paralyzed. The worst thing that happened to him is he lost the sight in his right eye. But all things considered, Ron is okay with that. The surgeons would tell Ron that the only reason he didn't die or get paralyzed is because when that bullet went into his skull, it kind of pressed his brain aside as it passed through. Had it punctured his brain when it went through, that almost certainly would have killed him. But by some unbelievably slim chance, it did not, and he survived. Here is Ron's X-ray.
Damn.
Before we get
I can't imagine what you guys went through out there.
The question is,
Where the other little bastard at? His little boyfriend. Where's his little boyfriend at?
I know when you look at me, you don't see someone that you should be afraid of. But you're wrong.
Coming in here talking shit. Man, we get timed out, bitch.
Genexa is the first clean medicine company. What does clean medicine mean anyway? It's the same active ingredients you know and trust, but without the synthetic stuff you don't want.
Well, I don't want our